Okay, so let's get that thing rolling. Welcome to today's webinar. The whole thing will be around TacView. At the beginning, I will give a brief overview of what I want to do or show within the next approximately, I think, an hour, maybe a little bit more, and give you a brief overview of what we're doing. So in the first place, we will take care about map overlays, so how to bring basically the Skyvector maps that we have now in BMS on the 2D screen into TacView and overlay those. Then in the second part, I will go over how to install detailed terrain into TacView based on the original Heightmaps of BMS. Then in a third part, I will briefly go over tacview-server.exe, which is a new addition on BMS itself. And at the end, if time permits or if there are open questions, I will be available for quite a Q&A session. Okay, so let's get into it. I'm on TacView, so we're using here the latest stable version, which is 1.9.5. For those who haven't, you can get TacView through their website. Here we are on tacview.net. I will post all the links in the Discord chat channel of this voice channel, and for those watching that later on YouTube, all the links will be in the video description below. So basically either here or on Steam. It doesn't matter which version of TacView you have, so the map overlay as well as the terrain feature should work on all versions, so the free version, the standard, as well as the advanced. Okay, before we start with doing stuff in TacView itself, I will show, because we have to place and download some file and place them somewhere. I will showcase basically the three places where TacView stores data or retrieves its data from, which will be all on your C drive. One is in your program x68. That's basically the installation folder of TacView. So there you have a TacView folder, and in TacView it's data. So everything we will do in the next hour will basically be within the data folder. I'm just showing the program x68 as the installation folder. I don't recommend to put anything in there, because program x68 is a special folder, so Windows security might get a hand on it, as well as if a new version of TacView comes out and you reinstall, everything in there might be wiped out. So the second place would be as well on your C drive, and will be in it's called local app data, and there in we have to go one up under roaming, and then scroll down, lots of things. Where is it? TacView, and again there you have a data folder. That is one place you could place your user-based files. I personally use another one, so the third place, and that's my recommended one, which is in your program data folder. So the program data folder itself is a hidden folder, so if you don't see it on your C drive, you have to go to your view settings on the Windows Explorer, and sorry, it's all in German because I'm on a German Windows, but it's basically show hidden elements. So if I untick that, so now I don't have the program data folder, and if I tick it again, so now I'm back there. So there I have to go into program data, then again Tacview data, and at the beginning with the textures there might be a slight confusion because there is already a textures folder, but that is not where we're gonna place our stuff. So the textures we place are based or basically bound to terrain, so therefore we go into terrain, and there we have another texture folder, and in that texture folder the first thing we want to do is we create a new subfolder and call that subfolder BMS. That is then basically handling that our map overlays are in BMS only shown if the new BMS layer is shown. So let me bring back Tacview. So in Tacview, if you go to settings, terrain, you will see on the latest version that we now have two Falcon layers. One is Falcon 4.0, which is for anything before 4.38, so 3.7 and earlier stuff, and the Falcon BMS layer is intended to be used with 4.38 and everything that comes after it. So if we switch, we see that are the old overlays. Quite a lot of them are basically baked into Tacview and are delivered with the installation. And on the new layer that is empty, so currently we have to install stuff there manually. Another thing to mention for the overlays later is the terrain display mode. So in order to show or hide map overlays, you need to enable or disable the custom textures, but I'll show that once we have installed the textures. So next is where do we get the textures from? So I prepared a Google Drive. Let me quickly bring that up. So on that Google Drive we have basically for the textures four zipped files, which are called BMS all full, all transparent, all adaptive, and all adaptive BV, which means black and white. I will showcase the differences between the four tile sets in the next step after we installed one, and then I switch to a mixed version to show the differences. So it's basically it's the same map, just how they blend into Tacview. Okay, in order to install those, the only thing that has to be done is download the one which is to your liking, which you can determine later when I showcase those. So I will download those, yes, and put them into my just newly created program data, Tacview data, terrain, textures, BMS folder. Save it there. Then once it's downloaded, go back into that folder and extract it here. Okay, so now they are extracted, and we already see that the new terrain maps are now split into one arc tiles instead of like the old overlays. The old overlays, we had one big image, which was then kind of pressed onto the Tacview environment. So let me quickly delete the zip file. I don't need that anymore. And go back to Tacview. So if we zoom out, as we see, Tacview is basically uses a sphere. The old BMS overlays were basically made for the flat world in BMS, and if you ever have tried to put a piece of paper onto a ball or a sphere, you would notice that that won't work very well. So you will always have wrinkles, or your piece of paper would be or has to be out of a some kind of elastic material in order to really fit that on it. And with the new tiled map overlays, we overcome that. So the map perfectly matches the spherical terrain of Tacview. So for all the steps, if we change anything in that program data folder and have Tacview running, we need to restart Tacview. Let me quickly do that and fix up one thing that I'll show later. Just a second. So bring up Tacview again, and now scrolling in. It might take a second, and now it loads the new tiles. As we can see, it perfectly matches. Then in order to hide or show the map overlay, we could either go into terrain display mode and turn off the custom textures, then they are gone, or put them back on, or to show the map layer feature, that they are now only bound to the new Falcon BMS layer. I changed to a different layer, like the real terrain, and they are not shown now. Going back and selecting the Falcon BMS layer again. Okay, so in order to showcase you that we have 4 different kind of flavors of that overlay, I'll quickly shut down Tacview and delete everything I just did. So back into terrain, textures, BMS, select all those and delete them. And now I've prepared a let me quickly open a second window, Explorer window. So I prepared basically a mixed view of those tiles, and I will place them. Tacview tiles mixed all everything goes in there. So, okay. Now back to Tacview again. So if we scroll down further in, okay, now we have it. So basically, as I said, there are four flavors. One is full, that means non-transparent, so the tiles, which are basically, if you see those crosses, that is 1 by 1 arc or 1 by 1 degree. Every tile fills in one of those rectangles. They are not square. Those rectangles, and is the further north you go, it's a little bit smaller on the top than on the bottom, and due to the fact that we stitch those single tiles together, we get a way better representation and matching up of real world than we did with the old version, where we had one big giant square map that we tried to squish onto that. So, as I said, or let's start on the upper left corner. That is transparent. So the transparent feature is basically, in terms of content, all the four flavors show basically quite the same. So the transparent feature, as it says, is transparent. So if we zoom in, especially here around the coastline or around those little islands we see, so this course line, that is the terrain that Tacview is using. So Tacview uses something, it's called ETOPO 01, which is a quite coarse representation of the terrain. So it's, I think, if I'm correct, 300 meters resolution, or even more. And as we see, so the BMS over the Skyvector overlay is much more detailed and matches basically the terrain of BMS of the in-game terrain. So okay, that is the transparent. Then on the upper right corner we have the full overview, which also has like terrain features, mountains, and stuff like that shown. And then on the lower corner, on the left and the right hand side, we have what is called adaptive. So as you see, the adaptive basically only includes those Skyvector stuff like airbase overlays and mowers and whatever is there. And they come in two flavors. One is the colored version, where we see flight levels and stuff like that is in blue, or you have a black and white version, or it's more grayish green to blend in. So and it uses the terrain feature overlay, or the terrain texture, the basic terrain texture of Tacview. So I personally use only the full version, because as we later see, that then matches best if we bring in the terrain data as well. Okay. One thing I want to mention, because I don't want to take credit for work that isn't mine. So the whole getting those tiles together, there is a tool that is already available on the Tacview side, and I'm just using that tool and putting together those download features or that download packages with the terrain tiles. As I said, with the let's take the full again, which apparently I deleted. Have to re-download it again. And I'm in the right folder, yes. So once it's downloaded, I'll take out all the others. And unpack that again. Okay, as I said, always needs at least a restart to reload stuff. So now we were on KTO all the time. Now let's go to the Europe side. That might take a second until all the tiles are loaded. Now they're coming in. So basically it's Balkans, HTO, Hellas, and Israel. So all is included in that one package, and other than previous with 4.37, where we had overlaying different maps that might overlay and not match each other, as we are all using the same Skyvector source that matches perfectly together, because basically it's like Israel and HTO, they are sharing some of the tiles. Same goes for here in the corner, Hellas and Balkans. Okay, here's now a quick brief overview over the tool, how those tiles are downloaded and generated. On the Tacview website in under add-ons, there's a tool called MapView 1.74, and I'll quickly open that one just to show how that looks like and what it can do. That is somewhere. So basically what you can do is you define a map, and by defining a map, you basically say, okay, that are the coordinates of my top left corner and the coordinates of my bottom right corner that I want to download tiles, and then you have the option to select from different sources. So Skyvector is the ones so that you don't have to hassle. I already did that whole downloading, so I could select Skyvector. I could select which of, if I want to have the non-transparent, transparent, adaptive, or adaptive black and white, and then I click go, and then it does one thing. It downloads all the it downloads tiles in size of 1 by 1 kilometer, and then stitches them together into those 1 arc by 1 arc tiles that are then later used by Tacview. You could even go and use stuff like OpenStreetMap, or these are free as well. And for Thunder Forest, you would have to sign up and get a API key. So just to show if someone wants to go crazy. Thunder Forest. So they provide quite a lot of range of maps you would be able to overlay. But as I said, so the Skyvector is that was or what BMS is using, and therefore I think that's good enough. Okay, so now that we have the overlay in place, I'll quickly show that it's quite accurate. And by quite accurate, I mean really quite accurate. Let's see. No, that's wrong. I don't want to go to. So for Korea, basically the imprinted air bases nearly match in all cases with your ACMI recording. So because the air bases in Korea are placed to real-world coordinates. In other theaters, so Balkans and HTO, I already saw that it's sometimes a little bit offset, and to be honest, basically all the three, is it Balkans, is it Hellas or HTO and ITO, all those three theaters I still see as a work in progress, so they are not really 100% finished. But still, the maps are still usable. So if you would compare BMS 2D with that ACMI, it would 100% match. Okay, that's basically the part for the map overlays. Now let's go to the next step, and the next step is terrain. So to explain just a little bit, the terrain in Tacview is quite coarse. So it uses something that's called ETOPO 01, and it has a resolution of, I don't know, I think 300 meters or even less, even more. In BMS itself, with the new terrain, has a terrain resolution of 31.25 meters. And as I'm personally in BMS more a ground pounder and do lots of low-level stuff, I said I want to have that in Tacview. I want to see if I fly low and fly through a valley, then I want to see that valley as it is in the game, and not that coarse terrain how it is in Tacview, where everything is basically quite flat. So let's go back to the drive. So in the drive we will find following files that we need. We need the BMS Heightmap XML. That is basically a file we also place in the programs data folder, where we will stay now for the rest of, or nearly the rest of that webinar. We'll place that there. That does nothing else than defining that there will be Heightmaps for BMS, and that they should be used on the layer if I select Falcon BMS as layer. And then we will find 4 files called Tacview, and then the theater Heightmaps 7-zip, that are basically the data Heightmaps that are then used. Also here just a very short note how they have generated. It's basically a little bit like with the overlays. The BMS terrain is square and flat, and the Tacview terrain is on a sphere. So I took exactly the height map that every theater is using and just converted it a little bit so that it matches onto the Tacview terrain. So now let's get that installed. So I'll showcase back. I go back into my programs data folder, programs data, into Tacview, into data, and into terrain. And now that is the only thing. I thought they had changed it, but they didn't. So we here we don't generate a new folder BMS. We need to use the custom folder. So we open the custom folder, and now in the custom folder, the first things we want to place is the BMS heightmap list XML. So I will do that quickly. Download. Wrong one, this one. Okay, I download it into data. No, C, program data, Tacview, data, terrain, custom. Okay, that's the first thing. So now we have the definitions. I'll very quickly show you what is the content of that file. So basically we say, okay, there's a height map for KTO, that are the four corners. The height map itself has a certain width and height. So, and even if you don't have installed any of the height maps itself, so those raw files, you could leave that file in. Tacview wouldn't matter. The only thing you would see if you restart Tacview with a debug flag on, then you will see a warning that it says, okay, I read that file, and in that file there are four terrains defined, but I can't find the terrain. And that's all, just a warning, no error. Tacview will run as is. So next I will start with one terrain first, which will be KTO. So I'll go back and I grab that Tacview KTO height map, download that. Yes. Into the very same folder. Maybe. Okay, then extract it here. Okay, and delete this one. Don't need the zip file. So now a few considerations. Those raw files are quite big. So they are, as you see, 2 GB in size. And if you load them, they will take up that size in your RAM. So if you have all 4 maps installed and active, then Tacview will take quite some RAM. So I wouldn't recommend to have all 4 at the same time active if your system doesn't have at least 32 GB of RAM. So, but for the installation, of a terrain. That's it. So you pick the heightmap list, XML, and the raw file from the provided links. And then let's quickly restart Tacview. So it always, if you put something new into the program data folder, it requires a restart. And now let's zoom in. We will see it takes a little bit longer to load because now it picks up the height map. And we already see, because the height map is a little bit larger because it's a little bit disordered. So if you see that basically blue corner around, then you're sure the height map is loaded. So if we now go into the terrain and look around, it looks more like this compared to, I'll turn it off or switch to the real terrain, compared to this. So in order to showcase it even a little bit more, I prepared a recording where I basically flew the low-level TE that ships with 4.38. Some of you might have already seen this. That is basically those where I did the previews on YouTube. So let's quickly fast forward that so that we can see what it would look like. So it matches basically within feet the real terrain of BMS. Okay, so now just to quickly showcase, if I open my task manager, yeah, as we see, with only one of those height maps installed, Tacview is taking considerably amount of RAM. But to show you that it doesn't impact, so if you have at least 32 gigabytes of RAM, I will now put all of the height maps into there and show you also a quick and dirty trick how to activate and deactivate height maps. Just let me quickly, instead of downloading it from the Google Drive, I have them already here. So I'll take BTO and I'll take that folder and put it as well into terrain custom. So now I'll take ITO and HTO as well and put them in there. So now I have all four of the height maps installed and active. And let's fire up Tacview again. It will take a little bit longer to load because the thing is, Tacview loads all the height map it finds regardless if you're in that region or not. So Korea is working. So we have the Korea theater. Now let's switch to the European side and go into the Alps. Again, it will take a little bit to load. Yeah, and now we have as well, and here you can basically at the edges of that is the edge of the high detail terrain, and in the background is the terrain of the original terrain of Tacview. So that's basically quite the difference you can see. And in terms of memory usage, as I said, that is eating quite a lot of your RAM. So basically I'm now running at 12 gigabyte of RAM only for Tacview. But that doesn't mean that it's unusable. Let's quickly go back. I load a quite a large Tacview file. So that's from our last Saturday event, I think. Yeah. And that will be one of the next parts I show then, how to speed up loading of or recording of large ACMIs, and at the same time reducing the size and getting better load times and better performance in Tacview. Because basically that 400 megabytes zipped ACMI now takes another, let me see, now I'm at F50, another 2 gigabyte of RAM once it's completely loaded. So let me run that. So, and even with all four, it's still usable, so not going into a complete slideshow. You will see some slowdowns, but as I said, theoretical usable. So now the quick tip how you could use it in a meaningful manner. So in order to have only one active, the active ones have to be in the same folder at the same location as the BMS Heightmap. So if I just take those three ones, create a folder, whatever I want to name it. So I'll name it inactive, and just put the ones I'm currently not using into that inactive folder, and do the same again, restart my Tacview, then I'm down to a usable amount of RAM usage and my performance is up again. Let's load that file again. Which one was it? I think this one. And now I will stay something around 5 gigs. That is means 2 for the terrain and then 2 for the ACMI and another 2 for the program itself. Still loading, still loading. So once we have that in, then we will switch to how to set up tacview-server.exe and get your recordings much smaller without losing any information. So let's see, let's run that again at 60 speed. So now it's basically much smoother. And the one thing which is also, I just forgot because I put it relatively high, the one thing which is a real performance killer where you can basically smooth up things is the trail size. So the longer the trail size you put, the harder for Tacview it will be to run smoothly. So if you don't need it, so basically recommendation is turn it down to 0. Okay. Then let's stop that and let's go over and speak quite firmly about tacview-server.exe. So tacview-server.exe is a tool that is made by one of the BMS devs. It's not yet shipped officially with 4.38 with U1, but it's usable. So if you want to use it, you would have to go onto our GitHub, and I think the links are as well in the forum and were shipped with the with U1 documentation, but I'll showcase that here. So on UAF there is a repository that is called Tacview Tools, and within Tacview Tools, if you go to the releases, you have basically 4 tools. The Tacview filter is there a long time. That was until now used. So you recorded a Tacview, was quite big. Then you basically downloaded that exit, dragged and dropped your ACMI recording onto that, and it reprocessed it and made it much smaller. Basically the same, you could even without all those tools achieve the same thing if you have a native recording out of BMS. If you open it in Tacview and save it again, it will do the same. But now with Tacview Server, we can automate all that stuff. So no more manually things to do in order to get those recordings smaller. The only thing you would have to do is download that one, and you place that into your BMS bin x64 folder. So alongside where your Falcon BMS exe is, there you place the tacview-server.exe. And the second step to make it usable is you would have to go into your user config and use your Falcon BMS user config file. And basically place this command into there. Set gb external tacview 1. I'll post that into the voice to the chat as well. So if that is set and I'll fire up BMS, which I will quickly do so. Launch. And go into 3D. And then once in 3D, I'll bring up my task manager again. So that is the one thing where you can ensure that you have set up everything correctly. Okay, so I'm in 3D. I'll bring up my task manager, and now if I expand the Falcon BMS in the task manager, I will see that there's a third, so a part of BMS itself. Then because I'm running in debug mode, that's the second one is my debug window, and the third one is tacview-server.exe. If we close it and
Goblin 2,
and
Singleton,
BMS.
F-16s, request taxi. Good morning, Goblin 2. You are number 1 for departure. Taxi Alpha, and hold short, runway 36.
It closes as well the tacview-server.exe, so you don't have to worry about it to close it. And if we now look, I forgot one thing. If the first time you start it, you get that window. If you only wanna use it locally, so no hosting or stuff like that, you could click on cancel. Then there would be no firewall rules created. Otherwise, I'll let that create my firewall rules. So if I host, I can take advantage and can someone let connect with Tacview or with OpenRadar to my hosting session. Okay, now only quick look into my recording folder. So basically I did a test this morning. That's a very small, so it's a TE, and I just rolled onto the runway, took off, flew maybe for 10 seconds. That's the size without tacview-server.exe, so that was 86 kilobytes. The very same recording with tacview-server in place is about four times smaller. And I can quickly show how that is achieved. So basically in the real, so that is the ECME data that is recorded. In the real ECME data, every single entry has always all data. Yeah, and that is basically why those things get blown up, because a lot of times those additional data is never needed. So for example, let's say these are all records of my flight. My call sign for the whole flight will be the same. I joined in as B3 and my pilot name is Oak Design. And they are all tied to a specific ID, which is this A23F. So during the whole recording, it doesn't make sense for any timestamp. So every few milliseconds or every few seconds, there's a new recording because I moved my jet to have those two stored into it. Same is I will not change coalition during my flight and stuff like that. And so that is what Tacview filter or Tacview server does. It automatically reduces those unneeded entries and makes the file size much smaller. That is maybe for a small TE, not that big of a deal, but if you look onto let's say even a single player campaign flight or a even worse a multiplayer campaign flight, then you easily, without having either Tacview server running or later on manually reduce the size, you get files in the hundreds of kilobytes. So basically that is over 400 megabytes. The same recording, so that is from last Saturday. So that was a local recording without any compression. Let's look on the same recording. With Tacview server running, that was what we did on our server. So it's 70 megabytes. That's basically times 7 smaller, and therefore even so if I load this one into Tacview later, it loads faster, it runs faster. So you only get plus. And the last thing to mention on tacview-server.exe is as well, if your BMS crashes, it doesn't leave you with a corrupted recording. It will still finish up the recording, and you have it usable unto the point where BMS might have crashed. Okay, that was it for Tacview server, and then the very last and very quick thing, because I don't yet provide the downloads for that because they are still work in progress, but just as a sneak preview, what is still be worked on, let me quickly put that back into place. There we go. Yes. Tacview. So that are static object overlays. We had that for 4.37 and before, so I did a lot of those, I think back in the 4.34 times, and now restarting because they all have to be recreated for 4.38 because everything changed. Just to quickly showcase what are those static overlays. Bring back Tacview. So if we scroll in, so basically it adds additional labels for all the air bases. Then if you scroll in deeper, it renders basically a currently have them in blue. I think in the older version they were great. It renders basically the runways. So if I load one of the, let's say this one, then yeah, it basically you have the runways even more visible than the map overlays. Or if you go into, let's say, a North Korean site where none of the air bases are basically have a representation on the map overlay, you would still then have at least a label and the runway rendered. As I said, that is still work in progress because I want to add the ILS cones as well, and then before we had one big file where everything was in, and I want to strip that down so users can select if and what they put in as overlays. So basically, I want to do the air bases, the ILS cones, then maybe again the mowers and stuff like that. And the last thing as a sneak peek, where I'm working together with BMS and Tacview devs, is to get a little bit more stuff on the ground rendered in terms of the detection of air-to-ground hits. So basically, currently only vehicles that are rendered you can track in Tacview if you hit that on a runway. Yeah, you could use once I'm done, you could use the runway overlay to see if your B loose or whatever has hit, but none of the infrastructure like buildings or stuff like that. And even with the runway overlays, you could visually see, okay, the bomb landed there, but it wouldn't be recognized in the in all of the Tacview analytic data, like down here or in the event view. And there we are working on to get those buildings and environments stuff also into the Tacview recordings, so that if you hit them, you get also in Tacview a event and it shows if you hit or miss. Okay, on the point, 1 hour. So I would be finished with what I wanted to show, and if there are, I will be staying around answering questions if there are.
Well, thank you very much, Oak, for the presentation. It was a really good information for me, and I think I will be able to change that. I will try just afterwards. Just have one question regarding the Tacview version.
Yes.
Is it limited to a specific Tacview version, or does it really work with every version? So I'm running a very old version of Tacview.
So what it would work with older versions as well. The issue there is only with the latest version, the 1.95, you have that new BMS layer. So you could, if you have an older version and you don't want to update, which I don't see a reason why not, but if then for the part where I said in the program data tacview data folder, in the terrain folder, everything that I spoke about the textures, instead of having a that BMS folder, you might basically hijack one of the other available folders. So either then instead of putting all the tiles into BMS, because it's not existent on older versions, you could basically put it into either real world, or you could put it into directly into the textures folders. So basically paste them here, and then those tile overlays would be visible regardless which of the terrains you select here. So
Okay.
yeah, it's the layer is just defining where you see stuff. And for the terrain, it doesn't matter, because the custom terrain that is for all the versions. So there is no specific terrain layer. The only thing you would have to do in if you have an older version and you use that BMS Heightmap list, you would have to go in, or would have to open it with a text editor of your choice, and either remove that layer, because now it says only if the layer BMS is selected, use that file. So you could remove that completely, or if, let's say, you want to hijack one of the others, for example, real world, you would replace the word BMS with real white space world. So
Okay.
so if let's say I'll quickly showcase that. So let's say I'll change that to it was one too much. I save that, then restart TacView.
Yeah, basically my issue was with the latest version of TacView that the G-forces of my wingman have not been shown correctly.
Okay.
So that's why I stayed with the old version, I think
Yeah,
1.8.4 or something.
That's very old. So there are between that there are at least, so there was 190, 191, 192, 194, and now 195.
Okay, maybe I'll give it a try with the
Yeah, yeah.
newer version and see if that was
Let me
solved already.
see, why is that now not loading? Or did I use the wrong one? Which one did I change? I changed BTO. Back to Balkans. And Balkans is always good because it's clearly visible. So if I change now the terrain to BMS, the terrain layer to
Real
BMS,
world then.
and now I go to real world. It should be. Why doesn't it do it?
Yeah, does it have to be real world or real terrain?
I think it was it was real world. Maybe it's just a wording, or was it? I haven't. I have tested it once, but let's see. Let's put that into like so, and restart. No, couldn't load. Why?
Because you must write real terrain instead of real world.
Yeah, but I think it was. Let's try. But I think I tested that with real world. Out in. And best is always to look in the debug. Nope. No, there is some. What is wrong? Okay. That is wrong.
Okay.
That is wrong. Always those little things. Okay, and now back to, and I'm pretty sure it was the layer was real world. Yep. And now it's
Yeah,
loaded
there you
on
go.
the. So
Nice
if I
and simple.
now switch to the and it's unloaded. Yeah. So as I said, you could hijack any of the layers you have in your version available. But maybe try out because they did quite a lot of uh, changes. And if you have still the error, then maybe DM me. I have a basically a direct connection to the Tacview dev.
Okay, that's great. That would be awesome. So I have just checked the change logs
Yeah.
every time, but haven't seen any issue there. Or
Yeah,
don't see
not everything that they
bugs.
put in is really
Okay.
smaller stuff is often not logged in the change log.
Okay, then I'll give it a try with the
Yeah.
194
Yeah.
F5
5.
set is
Yeah.
out already. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, does that
Thanks.
mean you can create a Falcon BMS folder and just change those values
What
instead of having the custom?
No. That so you need to have it. You need that is the only requirement. So for the Heightmaps, they need to be in. So okay, I'll show it another trick. They need to be in the custom folder. So they are the only thing they forgot to implement that to allow to have a BMS folder here on that level. But what you could do, because program data is on the C drive and the those raw files take quite a lot of space. What you could do is I'll put them away. And I'll have I put them on a complete different drive. So I have them on my G drive because that is there I have 2 terabytes of space available. Don't care about it. So I have a Tacview folder, and in the Tacview folder I have a Heightmap folder, and have them stored there. So those 10 gigabytes of data is out of my C drive, and then the only thing I would have to do is I'll take that path and go back into the programs data folder and into Tacview and data and terrain custom, open my XML file, and let's do it for KTO. Just reference the file with the full path. Yeah. Save that. So now I only have that 5 kilobytes of space taken on my C drive. And go back into what layer are we on? And my high detailed terrain is back. Even so, it's not in the custom folder. That's the other trick you could do to save disk space. Further questions?
Yes, Oak,
Yes.
as always, thank you for doing this. So I was following along basically step by
Yes.
step, although you were kind enough to guide me in advance on how to do this. Just to verify the process, ever since I uploaded or downloaded the other custom height maps,
Yes.
BTO, ITO, and HTO, my Tacview stopped responding.
It's so you mean
Very strange.
you
And
you
I'm talking about 1.95.
and you can't open it at all, or
Yeah,
it's just it's
as soon as I open up
so how much RAM do you have on your system?
64.
That's strange, because you should
Very
easily be
strange.
able to handle all four at once. And if you move them like I did in just for testing into like this in your custom folder, create a subfolder and
When
put them in.
Yep, I tried that too.
And
Created the inactive subfolder.
and it's still not reacting. So it's what do you mean with not reacting? It's not opening up, or it's not it's opening but you can't do anything in Tacview.
10 seconds after double-clicking Tacview 1.95,
Yes.
it will just stop responding.
Hmm.
Can't move the tab, and I have no choice but to click out or close the program, or wait for the program to respond, which I've tried for like 10 minutes and nothing happened.
So have you watched your task manager? Is it maybe eating up insane amount of RAM so that it's basically floating your RAM till it's completely full? Because there was an issue with that, but they told me that they have fixed it in the final version.
Negative. My RAM increase was merely at 3%.
That's really strange.
Very strange. I temporarily even removed the inactive maps
Yeah.
out of the Tacview app data,
Yeah.
and that didn't work too. 1.94 seems to work fine.
Okay.
Right? Although I haven't applied the changes to 1.94, but it starts up okay. So I'm guessing it's not a major issue with
Okay, then
Tacview itself, but
the
1.95.
yeah. So the only thing could you if you if it doesn't respond, let me see. I need to see where that is stored. So
Reinstall maybe?
no, I'll what I want to see is the debug log. I just need to check where it. So I'll paste the no, it doesn't work. I need to open it. I posted in the chat channel as well. So replace basically with your username. In that folder, you should have a trace log file. If you could send me that, I can have a look on it and maybe even forward it to the Tacview guys in order to find a solution what is happening on your system.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, then now in last minute I forgot that there is one more feature that is in combination with the tacview-server.exe I wanted to show. I will do that very quickly, and that is Tacview real-time. I'll start BMS and load into a campaign. Just quickly. So new campaign, take any flight or any nope. Quickly fast forward to have some flights generated. There we are. Going to 3D. And I cancel that fast forward 64.
I just sent you the required file.
Okay. Stop it. So commit to 3D. So with it works as well without tacview-server.exe, but with tacview-server.exe running, it runs more reliable because the amount of data transferred is much less. So it takes just 2-3 seconds more until I'm in 3D.
Rumble 3 to ship F-15s. Request taxi.
Okay, with
Good morning, Rumble 3. You are number 5 for departure.
I'll tap out. With tacview-server.exe or with Tacview itself, you could connect to your BMS with real-time telemetry. So forget all about that Falcon 4 legacy real-time telemetry. That was a proof of concept which didn't work, which would require the old VHS file system, we could now use the real-time telemetry that other flight sims as well hook onto. So you could open that. So that would work on your local PC, but if you have a server that has the Tacview live stream enabled, you could also connect to a server. And then if I do so, now I could basically live watch my campaign. Okay, I'm sitting there. There's not much happening at the moment yet. So it does only make sense if you we would sit now and watch the whole thing going. And my BMS crashed. Whatever. The same thing as with Tacview, or the same technology is what we use for the. It's somehow connected to Tacview itself. Is the CGI tool that was also created by some of the UAF guys, which is OpenRadar, which connects to the same stuff. So I'll quickly show that as well. Just need to restart BMS. Close out Tacview to save some space. And where do I have that? There it is. Again, into a campaign. Take a saved one to make it faster. Let it fast forward.
Carrier 1-1, we're RTB.
Be advised, hostile launch activity detected. Bullseye 29283.
Mako 7-4 ship F-16s. Request taxi.
Good afternoon. 7, you're number 2 for departure.
So that is the CGI tool that we have, and that connects as well to that Tacview live stream. So if I would run the, let me speed up the campaign. So maybe, okay, something is wrong with my installation. BMS crashed again. But yeah, you get the idea. So would be basically the same as if you would use the Tacview real time, and the crashing I get has nothing to do with Tacview. That is because I messed around with some files before and forgot to revert that. Okay, but that's it now basically for everything I wanted to show in that session.
Awesome. Thanks again, Oak. Great session as always.
Okay, then if no more further question, I'll stop the recording.